Subi, still playing the role of the adorable Yan Nan, feels a flicker of dread when he instinctively dodges Si Zhaohua's hand, an action far too agile for a supposed child. The tension thickens as Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Zhaohua exchange silent glances, their growing suspicion mirroring his unease. Uncle Lu had warned him acting too clever might backfire, but leave it to Subi to turn the tide with shameless charm. He flashes a smug grin and declares his cuteness irresistible, trying to reset the mood. The reaction? Two deadpan faces, clearly unimpressed. Just as things threaten to unravel, the door bursts open. The scorpion braid woman reappears in an elegant gown, followed by waiters wheeling in carts stacked high with food. Stomachs rumbled and eyes gleamed at the sight of food, but no one dared to move who'd trust a meal served by kidnappers. The woman with the scorpion braid smirked knowingly and cooed, "Hungry, aren't you? I brought you something to eat." Her tone dripped with sweetness, but everyone stayed silent, their caution louder than words. They weren't fools. The way these captors had welcomed them earlier had left no doubt this wasn't hospitality, it was a power game. Undeterred, she kept smiling, insisting they were guests, urging them to eat now and avoid suffering later. Her words practically screamed that the food was a trap. But in this twisted game, refusing meant starving, and accepting meant gambling with their lives. Everyone knew it. If rescue didn't come soon, they'd have no choice but to give in. Yet still, they waited, clinging to that last spark of hope. The scorpion braid woman, calm yet clearly done with the conversation, declared they'd stay in the reception room for now. Fresh meals would be brought daily, the toilet was over there, and if someone touched the food, they could knock and request better accommodations. Then she left with her crew, leaving behind a room full of nervous stares locked on the luxurious spread. Uncle Lu, suspicious and uneasy, tore his eyes away, warning everyone not to be fooled. The food was definitely suspicious. Everyone understood and subtly distanced themselves. Big Sister let out a weary sigh, hoping for rescue soon, especially with 3 kids among them. Meanwhile, Subi leaned against the wall, eyes shut in fake sleep, lost in thought. He wasn't fooled. He knew there were countless ways to force someone to eat magic, manipulation, even brute force. But none of that was used here. Instead, they were left to starve until they chose to eat willingly. And that, he thought, was far. Subi figured it out. The food had to be eaten willingly. With a glint in his eye, he realized, if that's the rule, then what if they just force-fed each other? Problem solved. Cool and collected, he stared at the food, waiting for someone to say it out loud so he could step up first. And sure enough, Zhao Xiaoyu beat him to it. Thinking the same if the food had to be willingly eaten, then someone else making you eat it could work around the rule. She shared her idea and asked who'd try. Si Zhaohua was ready to go, trusting Zhao Xiaoyu wouldn't risk lives lightly. But before he could even finish a thought, Subi, stomach growling like thunder, bolted forward with a loud, "I'll do it!" Everyone froze. Wasn't he the naive one? The youngest? Big Sister jumped in, trying to stop him with a worried, "Don't go. Maybe wait?" While the Glasses Man advises caution, let others take the risk first. But Yannan, head tilted and eyes wide with fake innocence, asks earnestly, "If no one goes first, who will?" Years of sarcasm, training from shady adults have paid off. His words choked the man into silence. Instead of waiting, Yannan turns to Big Sister, supports her twisted logic, and declares, if these so-called elites don't force them to eat, then maybe forcing oneself is enough. With zero hesitation, he marches over to Zhao Xiaoyu, casually orders steak and pudding like royalty. Not enough for his real appetite, but hey, he's playing an 8-year-old. When asked if he's scared, he replies with a yawn, "Scared to death." A line once said with a knife to his neck, now tossed out like a joke. No one catches the callback yet. What Subi didn't realize was that Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Zhaohua, after witnessing his oddly familiar, nonchalant demeanor, were briefly stunned. But that moment passed. Feeding him came first. Zhao Xiaoyu grabbed the steak and forced it into his mouth while Subi squirmed to resist, to no avail. Once he finished, Subi didn't return the gesture, but instead stared coldly at the door, fully aware their defiance wouldn't go unnoticed. As if on cue, the door swung open, and in came the woman with the scorpion braid, her face dark and mocking applause ringing out. She sneered, claiming their little tricks were useless under her control. Then, with theatrical flair, she produced a brocade box and revealed a glossy black pill, confirming the food had indeed been tampered with. A collective gasp followed, dread creeping in despite prior suspicions. She laid down the new rule with icy finality. Anyone willing to swallow the pill should knock. Those who refused could rot inside. With that, Zhao Xiaoyu stepped forward sharply, voice edged with defiance. Can we at least know what this pill does? You expect us to just swallow it blind? The scorpion braid woman barely turned, her eyes glittering with a cruel smile. It won't kill you, she said, almost amused. I admire your spirit. Swallow it soon if you want to avoid pain. Refuse, and no one leaves this island alive. With a slam of metal, the door sealed shut. Silence crashed down like a stone. Uncle Lou, grave and steady, walked toward the food inside. Eat, but don't gorge. It might be the last meal before we break. And then a full day passed. No footsteps, no guards, no answers. Just four walls and rising dread. Tension twisted in every breath. Should they give in? Should they wait for help that may never come? But one person didn't flinch, Subi. Calm behind his boyish mask, he didn't share their fear. Not when Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Zhaohua were still here. No way these two would meet their end at a place like this. They had a plan. And Subi? Zhao Xiaoyu snapped, demanding to know what the mysterious pill did. How could anyone dare eat it without answers? The woman with the scorpion braid didn't flinch. Coley, she replied, it wouldn't kill them. Even admitted to admiring Zhao's spirit, then warned them all, take it or die on the island. No exceptions. With a final slam of the door, she vanished, leaving behind a silence thick as stone. Uncle Lou finally broke it, sighing as he moved toward the food, suggesting they eat and conserve. This might be the last meal before they crack. And just like that, the day passed in eerie stillness, the room becoming a tomb of waiting. Tension crept in. Compromise or hope for a rescue that might never come. Amid the quiet desperation, Subi remained unshaken. He wasn't alone. Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Zhaohu were with him, and he knew under the alias Yan Nan, Subi dropped a sly joke that flew over everyone's heads. Only Si Zhaohua caught the vibe and, curious as ever, asked if they should swallow the ominous pill. Subi, the supposed innocent kid, started with a simple eat, only to pause dramatically, then casually add, it's fine, not eating is fine too. The room froze, expectations shattered, and everyone listening nearly groaned aloud. Was this brat just toying with them? Absolutely. Smirking like a fox in a henhouse, Subi tossed out a proverb about carts and mountains, leaving even more questions in his wake. Truth was, he didn't have a perfect plan, just two risky options. Fake taking the pill or break out and flee. But deep down, he knew the odds, and this mischievous act, all part of keeping control while figuring out which trap would bite first. If it failed even once, the captors would tighten their guard, no second chances. So it had to work on the first try. But that wasn't the only trap. The scorpion braid woman had warned that without taking the pill, no one would leave the island alive. On the surface, it sounded like a death threat, but Subi suspected something deeper. Maybe they were already bound by something unseen, and the pill was the key to surviving the escape. With both death and manipulation looming, even Subi wouldn't risk a wrong move. The best play? Wait. Someone would break, take the pill, and get sent back to coax the others. Then they could question that person, learn more, and maybe find a crack in the enemy's plan. Should he stir things up to hurry that along? If the group stayed strong, maybe 3 or 4 days would pass before hunger broke someone. But if he added pressure, the first collapse could come tomorrow. Still, rushing might backfire. If someone left and no solution followed, things could spiral. So Subi, ever the strategist, chose patience. He wouldn't act not yet. Even in captivity, if it failed even once, the captors would tighten their guard and future deception would be impossible, so it had to work on the first try. Subi, still playing the childlike Yan Nan, realized another trap. The so-called loyalty pill wasn't just a threat, it might be the key to surviving the island itself. Refusing to eat it might mean instant death or a slower, invisible one upon escape. Faced with his grim logic, he held back. Someone would break soon, lured by hunger, and be sent back as a messenger. That would be the moment to dig for details. But should he speed things up by stirring unrest? If unity held, they could last a few days, but a single spark could bring collapse by tomorrow. Subi chose restraint. Acting too soon could backfire, locking him in discomfort and chaos. For now, survival. After spotting 2 people exiting the toilet again, he slipped inside quietly, planting a recording pen in a hidden corner before walking out like nothing happened. That night, he returned, retrieved the device, and listened. The glasses man's voice rang out, sharp and urgent. "We can't keep waiting. We need to start the plan." Another man hesitated, questioning whether the others would believe a false escape route. But Glasses Man was cold and confident. "They have no choice. We lure them, make the kidnappers chase. You knock. Pretend to take the pill, then we bolt when the door opens." The second man wavered, guilt creeping in, fearing exposure. Glasses Man cut in, ice in his voice. "No one talks. We blame it on misjudgment. I chose you because you're smart. Don't make me regret it." Subi heard the plan and sneered, classic coward move. Use others as bait, slip away in the chaos. Too bad it was doomed from the start. No amount of scheming could change that. The man got talked into it by the glasses guy and walked out with him. And soon, 2 more from the same crew came in, whispering doubts. "I don't trust this plan," one muttered. "What if Zhang Lei sells us out?" The other agreed, "Yeah, it stinks, but starving or choking down one of those loyalty pills was worse." Their escape scheme? 6 people playing roles. A and B act like they found a path out, lure everyone into the exhaust vent. C and D? They pull the noble sacrifice card, guilt-tripping A and B into staying behind. And E knocks on the door like he's given up and taken the pill just to set up. And among the 6, who else remained but the glasses man? Naturally, he claimed the role of commander after all. As the planner, why should he also carry out the mission? And he wasn't wrong. You can't expect the brain to be the brawn, so what were the others doing? Subi, unfazed, saw right through them. He stayed put, knowing their strategy was a joke. They thought numbers meant safety, drag everyone in, and maybe the enemy wouldn't dare to strike. Best case scenario, escape. Worst case, at least not everyone would die. But B knew better. If they failed, pain, not death, awaited. He refused to join the reckless parade and instead chose to watch the chaos unfold. A full day passed, no rescue in sight, and as he predicted, the desperate crew finally snapped. 2 of them slipped out from the toilet, heading straight. Only 6 remained, and among them, besides A, B, C, D, and E, there stood the glasses man, who smugly declared himself the strategist, far too important to carry out the dirty work. After all, he made the plan, why should he execute it too? And to be fair, it made some sense. One can't expect the brain to also be the fists. But Subi? He saw through the whole charade. He had no intention of playing along. Their so-called plan was flimsy, built on the naive belief that numbers meant safety. As long as everyone joined, the enemy wouldn't dare strike, right? At best, they'd escape. At worst, a few would be caught, so what? That was their logic. But Subi didn't buy it. Failure meant consequences, and he wasn't about to share in their punishment. He'd sit back and watch the chaos unfold. And sure enough, a day passed with no rescue in sight, and the restless group cracked. Just like that, 2 from the toilet slipped out, blending into the crowd exactly as planned. Of course, the kidnappers wouldn't fix the toilet. Why waste the chance to let everyone stew in the stink? But when a group suddenly rushed in, Subi immediately sensed a hidden agenda. Si Zhaohu strolled over, noticed Subi's unbothered face, and hesitated. His voice came low and oddly gentle. "Don't worry, it has nothing to do with you." Subi almost replied, "Do I look worried?" But decided against it, nodding instead. That was just like Si Zhaohua, too proud to mock a kid, too awkward to console properly. Others might have used this chance to taunt or scare him, but not this guy. Then, commotion exploded from the toilet. Someone shouted for Xiao Zhao and Xiao Wang to come out. A mole-faced woman emerged, clearly annoyed, snapping, "Why call them? You think they'll fix the toilet?" Her tone danced on the edge of sarcasm, and those paying attention caught the meaning instantly. The reply came firm and veiled. "There's only one way. Can't you all figure it out?" He threw a tantrum, insisting they shouldn't let others lead just because they found the issue first, demanding loyalty with, "If you're still my friends, stay behind." The pair, originally intending to comply, hesitated only for show before turning to the mole woman with a fake apology. Her irritation flared, "Are you guys toxic?" as she scanned the hesitant crowd. Abruptly, she chose defiance. "Then I'm not going either." Panic sparked among the others, but the glasses man calmly intercepted them, smiling with veiled intent. They could stay, but had to let the others fix the toilet in peace. The mole woman matched his stare, turned, and re-entered the toilet alone. The soundproof door muffled whatever deal was struck, but she emerged, solo mission seemingly accomplished. Then, distant murmurs from inside stretched on until silence fell. With a knowing glance, the glasses man signaled the suited man beside him, who knocked and declared, "I want to eat the pill." The boldness shocked onlookers. The mole woman, now the invincible image of the ability users, shattered. One of them had just been taken down by an ordinary person, breaking the fearsome grip of power the kidnappers held. Without missing a beat, the glasses man urged everyone to move. They had to run before more enemies arrived. He casually offered an escape plan to Uncle Liu's group and, though not directly, to Subi and his companions too. Uncle Liu and his people hesitated, then clenched their jaws and chose to risk it. If they didn't run now, they'd always regret it. After all, hot weapons could still kill ability users, and that hope was enough. They turned to the trio, Subi, Zhao Xiaoyu, and Si Zhaohua. Big Sister asked nervously if they'd join. Zhao Xiaoyu shook her head with quiet certainty, trusting the academy to rescue them. That trust wasn't blind. It was built into who they were. Even when Big Sister turned to Subi, he politely refused, not wanting to slow them down. His voice calm, his request simple. If they made it out, send help. And with that, a flicker of sadness, just when the kidnappers' control seemed absolute, boom. One of their so-called invincible ability users is taken down by an ordinary person, shattering the myth of untouchability. The bespectacled man doesn't skip a beat. He urges everyone to flee, tossing out an open invite to anyone bold enough to run. His eyes linger on Uncle Liu's group, but the offer's wide open. Tension hangs thick as they hesitate, then grit their teeth and charge for the door, spurred by the revelation that even hot weapons can topple the mighty. Their eyes flick to the quiet trio. Subi, Zhao Xiaoyu, and Si Zhaohua. Big Sister's voice trembles with concern. "You're not coming?" Zhao Xiaoyu shakes her head, unwavering. They trust the academy to come. That faith, drilled deep as students of the Ability Academy, is unshakable. Even when Big Sister turns to Sue, be still masked as the harmless little boy, his refusal is soft but resolute. He doesn't want to be a burden, but asks them to send help if they escape. Something in those words tugs at. Even the invincible captors weren't untouchable anymore. One had just been killed by an ordinary person, shattering their illusion of dominance. The glasses man didn't hesitate. "Leave now. They'll come for us soon. You want to join?" His gaze landed mostly on Uncle Liu's group, but left the door open for Subi's trio too. Uncle Liu's people wavered, teeth clenched, then made the bold call to escape. After all, hot weapons could take down even ability users. As they turned to the silent trio, Big Sister's concern grew. "You're not coming?" Zhao Xiaoyu shook her head, calm and resolute. "The academy will come for us." It made sense. As students of the Ability Academy, their faith in rescue ran deep. Even when asked directly, Subi declined with a polite shake of his head. "I don't want to hold you back. If you make it out, please send help." His answer made Big Sister hesitate. "If you escape again, it won't be so simple." The threat lingered in the air like poison. The whole group flinched, each face a portrait of exhaustion and trauma. Dragged back to the reception room like broken dolls, they collapsed without resistance. Zhao Xiaoyu didn't rest, she went digging for answers. Turns out, the moment they surfaced, kidnappers had them surrounded. What followed? A dark room, no light, and a maddening, ultrasonic screech that drilled into their skulls like a million needles. Words escaped them. Sleep overtook them. Back in her corner, Zhao Xiaoyu muttered, "What even counts as voluntary?" She wasn't asking rhetorically. With a few torture rounds, anyone would swallow that pill willingly. But starving someone until they gave in, how's that any different? Her eyes narrowed. "They want us to think starvation's the only way out," she told Si Zhaohua, while the rest stared on, hollow-eyed and desperate for hope. "But the trick is, the pill only works if we take it before real hunger sets in. That way, it's voluntary. If we hold out, they'll feed us. Eventually. Otherwise, their whole plan collapses." Then, a frail voice pierced the silence. Zhao Xiaoyu, ever pragmatic, proposes a sly test, suggests they'll eat the loyalty pill later, just to see if food appears first. If it does, she's right. The other woman is baffled. Why play the game if you already suspect the rules? But Xiaoyu's answer is sharp. She refuses to rely on anyone else. Beside her, Si Zhaohua silently agrees. Waiting for rescue from the Ability Academy feels too passive, too dangerous. What if the captors aren't done tightening the noose? For Xiaoyu, it's survival. For Zhaohua, it's pride. He's an S-class student, not a helpless pawn. Though their motivations differ, one defensive, one defiant, they find unity in action. Watching them, Subi can't help but about 30 minutes later, the Glasses Man's team was dragged back, bruised, broken, and too beaten to rebel, curling up like discarded toys in random corners. Just then, Zhao Xiaoyu turned to the scorpion braid woman and coolly stated, "We want the pill." Behind her stood Subi, still in child disguise as Yan Nan, and Si Zhaohua. The woman blinked in surprise. "Now?" Zhao Xiaoyu nodded, sharp and calm, explaining they had waited to see if the others could escape, and since both attempts failed, resistance was futile. Better to submit early and gain favor. It sounded logical, too logical to question. The scorpion braid woman agreed and led them to a feast, calling it a reward for obedience. Afterward, she handed over 3 pills. When giving Subi his, her face twisted with disdain, as though giving treasure to a toddler was criminal. Zhao Xiaoyu's eyes widened in disbelief. Everyone had to take the pill, or they die trying to leave? The scorpion braid woman confirmed it with a cold nod, promising to explain more only after they swallowed. Si Zhaohua, usually quiet due to his status and powers, broke his silence to shield Yan Nan, arguing the kid could take it later. The woman agreed it would conserve resources if they held off on one. She handed over 2 red boxes. Inside lay what looked like a black pill, but up close, it was a semi-transparent bead, gleaming darkly. Without pause, Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Zhaohua each lifted the pill and swallowed. But Yan Nan wasn't watching their mouths, he was watching their other hands. After slipping the pill into their storage rings mid-act, their hands emerged, relaxed deception flawless. Subi caught on instantly, amused by their cleverness mirroring his own plans. The scorpion braid woman remained suspicious but satisfied, warning that escaping without swallowing the pill meant certain death. Their expressions, however, betrayed nothing. Zhao Xiaoyu even feigned relief, pressing further with a calculated curiosity that convinced their captor to reveal more. She led them to a vault-like door, beyond which lay a sinister sight. A human-sized transparent crystal orb swirling with black mist, radiating both purity and menace. The true core behind the so-called loyalty crystal sat humming with ominous energy, a trap disguised as technology. Anyone who lingered in its radiation for a full day couldn't leave without swallowing a pill that would erase free will and turn them into puppets. Zhao Xiaoyu, sharp as ever, shot out a question. Wouldn't smashing the crystal end the nightmare? But the woman with the scorpion braid only chuckled, of course not. This wasn't just glass, it was death incarnate. Only someone with just the right level of ability and mental energy could destroy it without instantly dying in agony. Too strong? You'd suffer a horrendous end. Too weak? Same result. They tested plenty to find that perfect sliver of survivability. At first, Zhao Xiaoyu considered trying, since her powers were on the lower end, but the thought of dying painfully for a slim chance at freedom quickly erased any heroic impulse. The catch? As long as the crystal, when the Academy's arrival threatened to shift the balance, the scorpion braid woman made it clear taking the crystal would trigger deadly consequences. Si Zhaohua raised a chilling possibility. What if the one who could touch the crystal was forced to destroy it? But the woman scoffed. A special pill ensured destruction was impossible. Their hopes dimmed, every route led to risk, and Zhao Xiaoyu was left facing the most dangerous path. Still, she pushed through, requesting just a better room to rest. The woman agreed, but warned them to keep their companions in line. Later, split between two luxurious rooms, the trio reunited in secret. Si Jiahua jammed all signals, and with the air thick with urgency, he proposed their only holding the loyalty crystal hostage sounded bold enough to spark Zhao Xiaoyu's interest. She snapped into command mode, assigning Su Bi and Si Jiahua the escape route while she hunted the mystery contact. Su Bi, always the sly one behind his childlike disguise, volunteered to go solo, reasoning that no one would suspect a harmless kid. Si Jiahua, ever the skeptical knight, questioned the logic, but Su Bi flashed that smug grin. Maybe he'd stumble into something useful. With Zhao Xiaoyu's reluctant approval and strict check-in times, the plan clicked into motion. Later that night, after lights out and whispered routines, Si Jiahua, hidden under darkness and a signal jammer, finally asked the question gnawing at him. Who had brought Su Bi Yan Nan to the auction in the first place? The mask was slipping, and suspicion was thick in the air. Su Bi, still playing the role of the innocent Yan Nan, wasn't ready to lift the veil just yet, so he clutched his imaginary wound and threw out a wounded, "You don't trust me?" Si Jiahua scrambled to explain, but before he could even finish, Su Bi shut him down with a smug, "Then that's that." When Jiahua finally admitted he didn't fully trust him, Su Bi matched it with a deadpan. "What a coincidence. I don't fully trust you either, so I can't tell you my identity." Cue Xiaohua's dawning horror. This kid was absolutely messing with him. The hurt act was as fake as his innocence. Su Bi even laughed when Xiaohua used Meng Huai's signature insult, "You little punk," confirming just how far the teacher's influence had spread. Xiaohua, now completely fed up, snapped, threatening to tattle. "You're done. I'm telling your parents." But Su Bi's smile dimmed, eyes drifting upward. "Talk to them when you find them." The next morning, the trio pulled off a perfect double play, pretending to urge surrender while subtly warning others not to give in, then peeling off in separate directions. Su Bi wandered like a true kid, chasing distractions with zero intention of gathering intel, keeping his cover airtight. Though fluent in multiple tongues, he feigned ignorance to stay underestimated. That night, manga in hand, he sat. Su Bi, still hiding his true identity as Yan Nan, faked being hurt. "You don't trust me." Si Jiahua hesitated, but admitted, "Okay, I actually don't fully trust you." Without missing a beat, Su Bi shot back. "What a coincidence. I don't fully trust you either. So I can't tell you who I am." Si Jiahua paused, then finally exploded, realizing he'd been played. "You little punk, are you messing with me?" Su Bi's expression didn't show a trace of being wronged. He was clearly having fun. Hearing that familiar insult, a favorite of Meng Huai, Su Bi burst out laughing. So much for elegance. Si Jiahua's teacher had really rubbed off on him. That only made Jiahua more furious. "You're done! I'm telling your parents!" But Su Bi calmly looked up at the ceiling and replied, "Talk to them when you find them." The next morning, the trio staged a half-hearted attempt at persuading surrender, secretly warning against it instead, then went their separate ways. Su Bi wandered the comp. The scorpion braid woman narrowed her eyes. "Let that kid into the data room? Since when did Yellow Skirt go soft?" But Yellow Skirt only sighed, saying she had a little brother who hated studying, so seeing someone like Yan Nan so eager to read pulled at something inside her. Her superior still wasn't buying it, so she leaned in, reasoning, how could an 8-year-old plot this far ahead? How could he know she'd help, or even that the data room held all the books? And even if he did know, the numbers would be meaningless. Grown adults could barely understand them. With tight surveillance and no way for him to sneak photos, what could possibly go wrong? The scorpion braid woman still hesitated, then pulled up the footage. Yan Nan hadn't done anything suspicious, too scared to even speak, quietly playing in the morning. The scorpion braid woman, ever cautious, nodded at the rare sight of such an obedient child, but insisted someone must accompany or monitor him in the data room. Better safe than sorry, especially with crafty kids. With that green light, Yellow Skirt gleefully relayed the news to Su Bi and prepped him for his visit tomorrow. Su-bi, ever observant beneath his harmless facade, couldn't help but smirk when he heard Dataru. He had already deduced that the base's members, graduates of Ability Academy, clearly unburdened by higher education, had little use for reading. So if books existed at all, they'd be there. Bingo. During dinner, Yellow Skirt casually mentioned it, with Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Zhaohua listening in. They raised eyebrows but wisely held back. The moment she left, though, they pounced. Zhao Xiaoyu was impressed, asking how he pulled it off, while Si Zhaohua was stunned. They actually agreed? Su-bi struck his most innocent pose, chin in hand. Probably because I'm obedient and cute. Silence fell like a weight. Thank the stars, only those two were there anymore, and they'd have heard the sound of collective gagging. The next morning, Yellow Skirt showed up sharp at 8 to escort him. Yellow Skirt didn't trust easily, so she watched him herself. Once she left, Yan Nan wandered into the archive room like it was just another stroll. One loop, and he'd already locked onto the critical data, buried in casual mess among folders and loose pages. But instead of diving in, he breezed past with the bored air of a child browsing comics. Then he circled back, picked up a travelogue, and sank into the sofa like he had all the time in the world. Yellow Skirt stared for an hour. He didn't flinch, didn't move, just flipped pages now and then like a perfectly looped feed. Satisfied, she assigned a new monitor and left. Yan Nan didn't notice or didn't care. Either way, rushing wasn't in the plan. Meanwhile, in the reception room, Zhao Xiaoyu's unspoken message had sunk in. Act alone and doom everyone. That unspoken pact held them tighter than chains. No heroics. No betrayal. Just wait. Luckily, her gamble worked. The next day, food arrived, barely edible, but enough. The captors called it mercy. The group, thanks to Zhao Xiaoyu is stuck in a deadly dilemma. If the crystal is taken, those who haven't consumed a special pill will die instantly. With no other options, she's forced to test whether touching the crystal will make her explode, a near-suicidal gamble. She doesn't want to die. Everything she's done so far has been to survive and live better. But if she doesn't take the risk, others will die, and she might too. It's a 9 out of 10 chance of death, with only one person ever surviving this test. Even though logic pushes her to try, the thought of waiting for the Academy's arrival nags at her. She hesitates, struggling with the idea of sacrificing herself. Meanwhile, Si Zhaohua, feeling helpless, doesn't force her. He knows no one should be asked to die, so he tries to find another way. But Zhao Xiaoyu is so meticulous that even Zhao Xiaoyu knew the odds touching the loyalty crystal meant a near certain death unless one had swallowed the pill and she hadn't. Only one out of many had survived such a risk before. Was she supposed to be the next test subject? No way. She locked herself in her room, torn between fear and logic. She didn't want to die. Every move she had made was to survive, not to become a martyr. But this time, it wasn't just about others, it was about her, too. If she didn't try, everyone, including herself, would perish. Still, she hesitated, wondering if the Academy would arrive in time with a better solution. Meanwhile, Si Zhaohua, learning of her torment, didn't push her. Urging someone to their death was beneath him. He searched desperately for another way, but if Zhao Xiaoyu, sharp and precise, couldn't find an answer, how? As the standoff dragged on, little Yan Nan strolled over to Musao and casually asked to borrow the jammer. Still deep in problem-solving mode, Musao blinked in confusion. What are you doing? But Yan Nan simply offered a cryptic, sage-like smirk, an 8-year-old with the calm of a monk and the mischief of a cat. Though tempted to roll his eyes, Mukao handed over the device with a stern warning. Don't mess around. If they catch us, it's back in the cage. Yan Nan nodded solemnly. He wasn't here to play. He was hunting for the one move that would break their deadlock. Unlike the others trapped in the moment, Yan Nan saw the whole board. He knew Zhao Xiaoyu could touch the loyalty crystal without consequences. It was the kind of narrative twist that only made sense because she was part of the core cast. There had to be something that set her apart. But blurting that out, that would kill the magic. He could reveal his true identity and spoon-feed the solution, but that would shatter his mask. A trickster who leaves from the shadows only to say, "Trust me," comes off less clever, more coward. And his persona? It thrived on chaos and detachment. Even his wanting to keep watching the twisted spectacle while fearing the consequences made him a real creep, but he couldn't just ask outright, so he had to sleuth his way to the truth. That afternoon, as usual, he headed into the data room under the sleepy gaze of a supposedly alert guard. For 3 days, the kid had been the picture of boring perfection, sitting still, flipping pages like a living paperweight so the watcher, lulled into lazy confidence, barely peeked at the screen. But today's footage? A frozen image. Subi had jammed the signal and was tearing through files like a cartoon ferret on espresso. Folder after folder, mostly junk. Then bingo. A table with only numbers, no distracting labels. The left column? Experiment numbers, maybe. Top row, a cryptic sequence, 6 to 0. The data in between, a mess except for one tell. Only the first and fifth entries in the last column weren't zeros. The problem? He couldn't read the map without knowing what the streets meant. And in this cruel... Subi stared at the data. If this was related to the loyalty crystal, then the leftmost column likely tracked 10 experimenters. But what did 6 to 0 mean? Rather than puzzle it out alone, he chose to rely on his teammates' brilliance. Not wasting time, he memorized only the anomalies, restored everything, and dropped onto the sofa, deactivating the jammer like nothing happened. No photographic memory? No problem, he remembered what mattered. As the clock hit 7:30, he left like usual, had dinner, then turned to the cold Zhao Xiaoyu. Sister, come to my room. I need to talk. She barely looked up, unimpressed. What? Sister's tired. If it's nothing, but Subi cut in, calm and firm. It's important. There's study content I don't understand. I want to ask sister. Zhao Xiaoyu was about to dismiss the idea of studying when a spark of realization hit. Wait, hadn't that kid been buried in the data room earlier? Her eyes lit up, and just like that, she agreed. Si Xiaohua followed without question. Meanwhile, Subi, still under his child disguise, scribbled down what he could remember from the data, admitting sheepishly that he forgot parts of it. I'm just a kid, he claimed, brushing off the randomness of the numbers. But neither of the others blamed him. For someone his size to dig up such critical intel was already impressive. The trio then pored over the table, noticing a mess of fluctuating digits, no clear pattern in any direction except for two standout trends. The rightmost column filled with zeros except one row showing a 20, and the leftmost values descending neatly from 95 to 20. Among chaos, this orderly trail screamed importance. One set, clean and unbroken, likely marked the only successful subject. The zeros, possibly fatalities. These 0 second probably mean death. Right? One muttered. But the puzzle wasn't done yet. What did that haunting header, 6 to 0, Zhao Xiaoyu confirmed the logic. Subi and Si Xiaohua gave nods, consensus locked. Zhao Xiaoyu pressed on, decoding the crystal's lethal trick. 0 equals death. The moment someone touches the crystal, they're gone. But mid-analysis, Si Xiaohua lit up with realization. It's distance. 6 to 0 isn't a countdown, it's proximity. He recalled, the loyalty crystal was around 6 meters from the door. Revelation struck like lightning. Subi processed the implications. If someone's body deteriorated steadily while nearing the crystal, it meant they could touch it, but erratic reactions meant boom. The trio now had a way to test safely. No more blind sacrifices. Zhao Xiaoyu exhaled, about to speak, but Subi curved a sly grin. Not that simple. She blinked how? Subi's reply came cold and sharp. The kidnappers only needed one person to succeed. After the 10th did, they both got the message. One lucky case didn't mean the data was flawless. Relying on it too confidently could be fatal. And fatal in here meant, well, game over. Zhao Xiaoyu paused, then smirked with that sharp-edged courage only she could carry. If I meet the conditions, I'll touch it. If I die, I hate it, but I'll take it. Better that than playing blind on a rigged roulette. At least now, she had something, a pattern, a hint, a chance to decide. If it betrayed her, then fate was just cruel. But she'd go out on her own terms, no regrets. Su caught her resolve and nodded, smiling just enough to show he believed in her, but not enough to pretend it was safe. He wanted the readers to see it too. This wasn't reckless, but it wasn't secure either. Even with a pattern, the odds still cut deep. She had saved him, after all, so a little popularity boost wasn't cheating. In a world of manga rules, popularity meant power. Zhao Xiaoyu wanted to hold on to her S-Class spot, and the trap was simple. Destroy the loyalty crystal, and every kidnapper on the island would charge toward them, leaving the dock wide open for the political hostages to flee. But the trio marked as the main targets couldn't follow, or they'd doom the whole escape. While others focused on the docks, Zhao Xiaoyu revealed a secret plan. They'd leap from the cliff. She had already researched the enemy's abilities. Only one could fly, and that one used bamboo dragonfly. Take that down, and the skies are ours, she declared. After the crystal shattered, they'd sprint to the cliff and take off. Can you carry us? She asked. Sai Jiahua didn't blink. You too? Even toss in Zhou Renjie, I'd still carry you with ease. Back in school, he could barely lift a teammate, but now, with his S-Class wings, he was ready. The plan was written. Zhao Xiaoyu shot him an amused look and said, I'll go in first, you come later. If I drop dead from touching the crystal, pretend you just caught me faking surrender, capiche? Si Jiahua frowned hard. Selling out a teammate like that? No way. But before he could object, Su Bi gave a cheery thumbs up, totally on board. That earned him a hair ruffle and a grumble from Zhao Xiaoyu. You little heartless punk. With a sigh, Si Jiahua reached past her ponytail and unclasped a silver necklace from around his neck, a pendant with a blue gem feather. He handed it to her, solemn as a vow. You won't die. Shock flashed between them as he added, meant to give it to you earlier. It's a resurrection stone. Die here, and it'll revive you. He wasn't bluffing, he just waited to see if they had other options. But since she was going in anyway, this was the time. Xiao Xiaoyu's eyes went wide. In a world where abilities reign, a certain resurrection stone proves to be far too powerful. Su Bi, always sharp, is taken aback by its potential. He knows that Sai Jiahua, heir to the Sai family, has plenty of life-saving tools at his disposal. But this one? Resurrection? That's next level insane. Si Jiahua, though, quickly clears up the confusion. It turns out that the Resurrection Stone is more of a defensive tool than a miracle cure. Its true power? It blocks a single lethal attack, but only if worn during the attack. The catch? It doesn't work afterward. As incredible as it is, it's still not quite as wild as bringing someone back from the dead. However, there's a serious downside. Using the stone causes an ability user to lose their powers. This is why Si Jiahua had hesitated to offer it. No one would choose it if they had a better option. Zhao Xiaoyu, after a brief pause, takes the necklace, understanding the risks but valuing life above all else. She didn't crave fame enough to cling when things turned dire. By Tuesday, Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Jiahua had sharpened their escape plan with surgical precision. Every route, every fallback, mapped. They couldn't move too soon. Friday was the mark, and even the hostages got the memo. If the elites didn't bolt when the storm hit, that was their problem. Meanwhile, Su Bi, the little legend, had already saved the day once and saw no reason to stress. He lounged, finishing a travelogue like it was summer break. When Friday came, it was game on. The three jammed the cameras and hit the silver door, a vault-level blockade with one weakness, a password. But for them, it was child's play. Su Bi claimed he peeked at the code using mental energy, though everyone knew better. Si Jiahua used a feather and finesse to mimic the exact motion on the keypad. Zhao Xiaoyu went old-school tape on the keys, reading fingerprints like a pro. Each cracked it their own way, proving once again that together, they opened the door and stepped inside. Zhao Xiaoyu inhaled deeply and moved toward the loyalty crystal, while Su Bei and Si Jiahua watched, bracing for signs of collapse. But something was off. Instead of weakening, she looked stronger. Her eyes flicked with confusion as she neared the crystal. I didn't get weaker. I feel stronger the closer I got, she muttered, genuinely puzzled. The rush of mental energy and physical power was exhilarating, completely at odds with the previous test logs. Where the 10th subject's life force had dropped, hers surged upward. Su Bi and Si Zhaohua stared, stunned. Su Bi realized, too late, that his earlier data assumptions were flawed. It wasn't about decline, but consistency. Zhao Xiaoyu's rise was just as steady. And now, it was obvious. The plot had never sidelined her. This twist had been written all along. Yet she hesitated. Even with Si Zhaohua's resurrection stone in hand, the risk was steep. Losing her ability could be as unbearable as death. The room fell silent. Neither Su Bi nor Si Zhaohua said a word. Zhou Renji and Li Shu might have shared the same instincts as Zhao Xiaoyu, but unlike her blunt selfishness, they preferred hiding their scheming under fake good intentions, always smooth, always masked. She, on the other hand, wore her cunning like a badge. If she made a cold remark, those two wouldn't respond right away. They'd wrap self-preservation in group-thinking words. Only Su Bi, now disguised as Yan Nan, shared her style of unfiltered strategy. So when the clueless brown-haired kid answered without guile, Zhao Xiaoyu's instinct flared. Was that Su Bi? It felt like him, but his expression was way too convincing. What she didn't know was that Su Bi had no intention of dropping the act. Let the others escape. He'd rather play the fool, dodge expectations, and avoid giving the kidnappers any excuse to escalate. He wasn't about to power up and make things worse. So he blinked at Zhao Xiaoyu, eyes wide, voice blank. Huh? What? In the midst of a perilous situation, Zhao Xiaoyu's selfishness and cunning are on full display. Unlike her more reserved peers, Zhou Renji and Li Shu, who mask their true intentions, while Zhao Xiaoyu boldly embraces her calculated nature, the others prefer to conceal their motives, presenting a stark contrast in behavior. When the younger Yan Nan, actually Su Bi in disguise, reacts with genuine confusion, Zhao Xiaoyu is briefly caught off guard, unsure whether this really is the sly Su Bi she knows. However, Su Bi has his own plan. He's chosen to remain under the guise of a child, biding his time until the right moment to escape. His choice is deliberate. Revealing himself would only complicate things, raising the threat level and forcing him to contribute in ways that wouldn't benefit him. Meanwhile, Zhao Jiaoyu and the others continue their deception, unaware of Su Bei's true intentions as he silently watches from the side. Zhao Jiaoyu didn't argue without proof, guessing Su Bei's secret wasn't worth it. Urgency took over as she turned to the looming black crystal ball. One deep breath later, she pressed her hand against it, the air holding still, then releasing her in a wave of relief and wobbly legs. I did it! She gasped, half in disbelief, half in triumph. Si Zhaohua, visibly relieved, urged her to destroy the loyalty crystal immediately, but Zhao Xiaoyu hesitated, eyeing the fragile necklace that tethered her ability. She moved to remove it, but Si Zhaohua warned her to wait. What if destroying the crystal triggered something unknown? Zhao Xiaoyu paused, clutching the wrist. Su Bi, Zhao Xiaoyu, and Si Zhaohua found themselves in a high-stakes game, each of them running for their lives under intense pressure. Despite the chaos, Su Bi kept up, avoiding detection. Normally, they'd have noticed his unusual pace, but the situation was too frantic to pay attention to small details. Thinking drained energy, so all focus was on survival. As the trio finally caught their breath after a long run, they discussed the mysterious black mist from the loyalty crystal that had entered Zhao Xiaoyu. Though Zhao Xiaoyu felt no immediate effects, the unsettling nature of it lingered in her mind. The dark mist raised fears, but there was little they could do about it now. They needed answers, and the only option left was to consult teacher Ye Lin, hoping he could shed light on the situation once they returned. For now, their survival and strategy had... He knew being carried would only expose him quicker, better to keep moving. Under normal circumstances, he should have drawn suspicion, but the chaos kept Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Zhaohua from noticing the oddities. Amid the frantic escape, even thinking was a luxury, and as long as Yan Nan kept pace, neither questioned him. Only once they'd covered enough ground did the trio pause to debrief. Si Zhaohua, ever the worrier, eyed Zhao Xiaoyu. Did she really feel nothing after that eerie black mist from the loyalty crystal slid into her? Zhao Xiaoyu confirmed she saw it, admitted the color alone was unsettling, but claimed no pain. Still, unease lingered. What if it was doing something deeper? With no answers and too little energy to chase them, Zhao Xiaoyu ended the discussion with a curt, We'll ask Teacher Yi. The trio stopped talking and focused on escaping, with Subi running silently to avoid drawing attention. Being with them was suspicious enough. If they figured out who he was, it'd just ruin the mystery. Worse would be if they didn't and assumed something darker. Their pursuers reacted fast. Ordinary chasers fell behind. But the scorpion braid woman blazed ahead, faster than all three. Furious beyond reason, she hadn't expected her so-called tame dogs to turn into wild wolves. Her miscalculation had cost the team a destroyed loyalty crystal and a failed mission. Her dreams of promotion and wealth shattered. Survival uncertain. Rage overtook reason. She wasn't after recovery anymore, just blood. As the gap closed, she launched her ability and snatched Subi, trailing behind. He was just a kid, maybe not useful. But grabbing him could freeze the others and turn the tide. As the invisible grip wrapped around his neck, dragging him back, Subi didn't resist. He just went. Subi, disguised as an innocent child, surprises everyone with his strength as he kicks a powerful blow to the scorpion braid woman, sending her flying across the room. Her abilities falter, and Subi quickly reunites with his group, ignoring the confused expressions of his teammates, Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Xiaohua. They're in a rush to escape, so they don't question his sudden display of power. Meanwhile, the scorpion braid woman, enraged and in pain, orders one of her followers to target the one wearing white Si Xiaohua. The moment Si Xiaohua is hit by a yellow light, he realizes with shock that his ability has been sealed. As the trio faces new dangers, they must continue playing their roles carefully while trying to outsmart their captors, all while darker secrets unfold around them. The kidnapper's ability could seal others. That was a twist they hadn't counted on. Zhao Xiaoyu froze if Si Xiaohua couldn't use his wings. Their escape plan was dead in the water. They'd be swarmed. Game over. But Sue, be cool-headed even as a fake kid cut in fast. How long does the seal last? Si Xiaohua checked tension, loosening just slightly. 5 minutes. That gave them 4 to the cliff, 1 to survive. Slim odds, but they'd take it. Si Xiaohua broke into a sprint, wings useless for now, calling out to Subi to hide in a corner so they could shield him. But Zhao Xiaoyu, puffing beside him, couldn't help but scoff. You really think he needs protection? That speed? That strength? Something was off, and she was just starting to see. What kind of monster was this guy? She just prayed Subi wasn't going to flip the script at the worst possible moment. In just 4 chaotic minutes, arrows, sonic booms, and all sorts of long-range abilities flew with them like fireworks in a bonfire celebration. Five seconds left. As his ability ticked down to activation, Sai Xiaohua yelled not in fear, but as a rallying cry, signaling the moment to act. From the shadows, the scorpion-braided woman, already rattled by how 2 students dismantled her squad, sensed that whatever Si Xiaohua was about to unleash, it mattered. Desperation flared. Letting them escape would spell her failure. But Zhao Xiaoyu saw it coming. That killer glint in the woman's eyes set off alarms in her mind. As the enemy charged, she hurled herself at Si Xiaohua, shoving him just in time. He couldn't go down, not now, not ever. She calculated everything. He'd dodge, she'd fall with gravity, maybe take a scratch. Bang, perfect hit. The scorpion-braided woman's shockwave roared, meant to hurl Si Xiaohua off the cliff, but it missed. Zhao Xiaoyu stood firm, or she thought she did. Just as she moved to brace, her vision flickered. Something dark, silent, sapped her strength. Her legs failed, her hands trembled, and before she could stop it, her body tilted. The moment weightlessness struck, Zhao Xiaoyu's scream split the air, terror etched on her face. Subi hadn't planned for this, but without hesitation, he reached through the chaos and seized her hand. The inertia was brutal. One more tug and they'd both fall. Alone, he couldn't pull her up. Not with the kidnappers looming. And if they both went down, would Si Xiaohua react in time? Betting everything, Subi made his move, grabbing Si Zhaohua's ankle and dragging him off the edge too. Shock flashed in Zhaohua's eyes, but then realization. Subi wasn't aiming for a triple plunge to doom. He was waiting for a timed rescue, and boom, 2 seconds later, wings burst open, white, wide, and powerful. Zhaohua soared like a storybook angel, lifting them from the jaws of death. As they hovered midair, Kidnapper shrinking below, he glanced at the kid still gripping his ankle with the force of a vice. That glare was half fury, half disbelief. "You're in trouble back at school," he muttered, exasperated. He wasn't fooled anymore. The girls wait, the boys wait. No way that math checked out. The abnormal speed, the strength, that uncanny familiarity, it all clicked into place. If not for his strict upbringing, Si Zhaohua would have exploded. He was fuming at Subi's flawless performance and his own failure to see through the disguise. Watching Si Zhaohua's elegant face contort into silent outrage, Subi lowered his head, muffling a laugh he couldn't hold back. The familiar unmasked voice made Zhao Xiaoyu snap her head up, eyes blazing despite her weakness. "You pretended, you." She barely restrained her fury, repeating Si Zhaohua's earlier warning. "Just wait till we're back at school." But Subi lost it completely, bursting out in uncontrollable laughter. As he laughed, the transformation mask fizzled out, his brown hair flashed gold, eyes shifted to deep violet, and his body stretched back to normal. Yet this time, his usual calculated smile gave way to something new, open, unguarded joy. That bold expression on his familiar yet altered face caught both Si Zhaohua and Zhao Xiaoyu off guard, dissolving their anger like mist in the sundae. The thrill of survival surged back, and Si Zhaohua, still trying to look stern, gave a grumpy that cracked into a laugh. Zhao Xiaoyu followed with a soft chuckle. Both thought the same thing. This ridiculous, mischievous side of Subi was just who he was, and after everything, maybe it was fine to let him off this time. Their escape flight to the mainland drained even Si Zhaohua's stamina, but the real concern, just before she blacked out, Zhao Xiaoyu managed to explain that she could have countered the Scorpion Braid woman, but was struck by a sudden weakness. Afterward, she felt both physically and mentally drained without Subi's hand holding hers. She wouldn't have made it. Something was clearly off, and all signs pointed to the black mist that had entered her body. Convinced it was the cause, Zhao Xiaoyu collapsed. With no time to lose, Subi and Si Zhaohua took to the skies with her. While flying, Sue B discreetly used his ability to assess her condition, and to his surprise, her fate pointer was nearly all the way left, signaling a major stroke of fortune. Far from worried, he actually looked intrigued. As the coastline came into view, Si Zhaohua descended and landed in the sea to avoid drawing attention. Flying onto the mainland would have caused too much of a stir. They hadn't returned to the academy, and this was clearly foreign soil, so discretion was crucial. Swimming to shore, they encountered only locals, and the sight of two boys with an unconscious girl immediately sparked suspicion. Two women in swimsuits swam over, one already fumbling for a phone inside a waterproof pouch, looking ready to make a call. Zhao Xiaoyu confirmed the logic. Su Bi and Si Zhaohua gave nods, consensus locked. Zhao Xiaoyu pressed on, decoding the crystal's lethal trick. 0 equals death. The moment someone touches the crystal, they're gone. But mid-analysis, Si Zhaohua lit up with realization. Its distance, 6-0, isn't a countdown, it's proximity, he recalled. The loyalty crystal was around 6 meters from the door. Revelation struck like lightning. Su Bi processed the implications. If someone's body deteriorated steadily while nearing the crystal, it meant they could touch it, but erratic reactions meant boom. The trio now had a way to test safely, no more blind sacrifices. Zhao Xiaoyu exhaled, about to speak, but Su Bi curved a sly grin. Not that simple. She blinked how. Su Bi's reply came cold and sharp. The kidnappers only needed one person to succeed. After the 10th did, the experiment ended. Just one chosen survivor. Before she blacked out, she managed to explain she could have taken on the scorpion braid woman, but a sudden weakness took her down. Afterward, Zhao Xiaoyu was barely holding on, both physically and mentally. And if Su Bi hadn't held her hand, she would have slipped away entirely. The only strange thing? That eerie black mist that had entered her body, definitely the culprit. With that realization, she passed out cold. Su Bi and Si Zhaohua had no choice but to carry her toward the shore. But Su Bi didn't miss a beat. He checked her status with his ability, and what he saw stunned him. Her pointer almost maxed out on the left, signaling something big and positive happening to her. So instead of panicking, he raised an eyebrow. Whatever was going on, it was actually good. As the mainland crept into view, Si Zhaohua brought them down near a rocky cove shrouded in early morning mist. Through Alyssa, Su Bi finally figured it out. They were in a pagod, the land where even the stray dogs probably had bank accounts. A country not ruled by might or brains, but sheer glittering gold. No oppressive elite class here. Everyone was rich, thanks to their own personal gold mines. But the real jackpot wasn't just shiny metal. Ever since ability users popped up, the land started coughing up mental crystals' energy-packed treasures that made combatants recharge like power banks in battle. Naturally, these crystals were pricier than gilt at an auction. And then it hit him, Apagod! Just hearing the name gave Su Bi a mental cramp. The worst part? That scorpion braid woman had casually let slip a crucial truth. The loyalty crystal wasn't made alone. It was a collaboration probably between Apagod's moneybags and Black Flash's science nerds. Tech, manpower, and wealth had teamed up to make something sinister. Watching his face twist in dread, Alyssa at a stranger's place, with no ID or money, Su Bi and the others knew they had no room to negotiate, just freeloaders washed in oversized clothes. After Su Bi's shower, a burly tattooed man, Alyssa's brother, showed up, clearly summoned as backup. But instead of trouble, he merely glanced at them. Underaged, harmless, unlikely to catch his sister's eye. One by one, the crew cleaned up, and Alyssa helped settle Zhao Xiaoyu. While drying off, Su Bi struck up a chat with the brother and dug up info on a pagod, a land ruled not by a single government, but by 3 rival consortiums hiding behind a united front. Su Bi immediately caught the contradiction. If Black Flash worked with the government, it was likely just one faction, sneaking experiments on a hidden island. Worse, with the loyalty crystal already in play, maybe the other consortiums had also fallen under the kidnapper's sway. The brother agreed to tip off Manhwa, letting the academy handle it. Behind a closed door later, Su Bi and Si Zhaohua whispered. Hearing such a baffling plan, Yan Nan blinked. Huh? Why not just call your family? Sure, international calls were pricey, but that wasn't a problem for someone from a family as powerful as his. Getting to Apagad would have been a walk in the park. The embassy was clunky, family was fast, but Mu Sao just coughed and mumbled, I don't remember their numbers. Right, who memorized numbers these days? Even a silver-haired elite like him wasn't immune to modern convenience. Yan Nan fell silent. Fair enough. Not like he could dial up anyone either. Still, sending Mukau to the embassy? Terrible idea. Don't go. I will, Yan Nan declared. If it's obvious to us, it's obvious to them. They've seen you, silver hair, remember? Me? I'm invisible. Ever since escaping, he'd melted back into the background. The perfect unnoticed kid. So that afternoon, Yan Nan tracked down the embassy's location and slipped out. No storming in, he scoped the place out first. Just as his instincts warned, there they were, 2 watchers, lurking. Yan Nan's stomach twisted. If those agents really came from the Scorpion Braid Woman's faction, then it meant her claws reached deep into Apagad and fast. Not exactly comforting. To dodge further eyes, Su Bi slipped quietly into the embassy. But something felt off. This place, usually calm, was now buzzing like a hive. Staff darted everywhere, and he had to wait before someone finally noticed him. When he mentioned returning home, the embassy worker grimaced like he'd asked for a miracle. That made Su Bi pause. Emergency return should have been routine. Why the roadblock? The staff admitted there had been a sudden freeze on all outbound travel requests orders from higher up. No details given. Just a flat refusal. Su Bi's brow furrowed. What changed? He asked, voice low. The worker glanced around, then leaned in. Rumors. Some say a purge is coming. Others say it already started. A chill ran down Su Bi's spine. If that was true, getting out wasn't just difficult, it might be impossible. Su Bi gave a calm nod, flicking his wrist to reveal a gear, instantly catching the staff's attention, who lit up with realization and cheerfully declared his good fortune. When Su Bi asked why, already half sure of the answer, the staff confirmed it had to do with the ability users, explaining that several ability academies had sent representatives and that a meeting could be arranged the next day at 2 p.m. With a silent nod, Su Bi accepted the plan and left. Outside, his eyes scanned. His watchers were still lurking, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he walked off openly, cool as ever. But not even 10 steps later, he sensed one tail breaking off to follow him. Su Bi's mind raced had they recognized him. For a flash, he thought of losing the tracker with a quick dash, but instincts sharpened by too many close calls told him to slow down. No need to rush, especially since no one knew what the blonde kid. His transformation mask, forged by manga consciousness itself, was flawless. None could see through it. So no one recognized him. There were only 2 reasons someone would tail him. Either they had another agenda beyond the Scorpion Braid Woman, or they were just testing him, and since only one person followed, it meant they didn't see him as a threat. Calm and unbothered, Subi kept walking, even stopping to window shop at a gold store. In Apogod, where gold was cheap and plentiful, the temptation was real even if his pockets were empty. Unlike others who would have cracked under pressure, he stayed composed. Zhao Zhao Yu? Jiang Tianming? Wu Mingbai? They would have lost it by now. Leaving the shop, the tracker had vanished finally. Relief. Back at Alyssa's house, Zhao Xiaoyu was still unconscious. Si Zhaohua was fine, knowing the truth. But Alyssa, unaware, was visibly anxious. She's still out. Is it really just hypoglycemia? Su be slipped into his role with practiced confusion. We thought it was. It hit her fast. Si Zhaohua shot him, a look half impressed, half wary. The way he lied without a blink, no wonder he had... They weren't fools. Su Bi was just playing too many levels above. When Alyssa's brother nervously offered to pay hospital fees for Zhao Xiaoyu, Su Bi agreed with perfect politeness, then slyly asked whether they should go before or after his embassy trip. Alyssa immediately chose before, the cracks in her trust showing Zhao Xiaoyu didn't look hypoglycemic, and the whole scene was beginning to stink of abduction. In Apogod, where even the government tread lightly with foreigners, she figured a hospital check for drug traces might be their only shot. Back in their borrowed room, Si Zhaohua fretted about Zhao Xiaoyu's condition, while Su Bi calmly revealed the embassy couldn't help them home just yet, but hinted the real game was with some ability-linked officials he'd meet the next day, keeping the rest of his plan. He guessed, like any manga arc, that this latest mess, probably the auction fallout, and that infamous Black Flash had something to do with them. Maybe they'd even bump into other classmates in this weird foreign zone. The idea of meeting Academy folks calmed Si Zhaohua immediately. Teachers were proof of identity, and that meant a straight ticket home. But Su Bi wasn't finished. Saw someone tailing me after the embassy, he said. Zhaohua, cool as ever, asked if he'd lost them. Didn't need to. Su Bi replied with a shrug. They just gave up halfway. That was the strange part. Zhaohua caught the logic. If they'd never seen Su Bi's face, why follow him at all? Unless it wasn't about the kidnappers. Su Bi leaned back, hands behind his head, sighing about the embassy incident. If it caused delays, it messed with his arc. He was already a major character now. The next morning, they dragged an unconscious Zhao Xiaoyu to the hospital. As expected, helpless, they carried Zhao Xiaoyu back. Relief washing over Alyssa once the diagnosis ruled out Su Bi and Si Zhaohua's involvement. That same afternoon, Su Bi, still playing the ever-smiling Yan Nan, returned to the embassy and lit up at the sight of Meng Huai waiting on a bench. The moment their eyes met, the tension broke. Meng Huai, with his usual stoic charm, gave a rare nod of praise, though concern crept in as he asked about the others. Su Bi, still sharp despite everything, gave him the short version. Hiding at a local's home, Zhao Xiaoyu out cold, and the academy still stumped. Meng Huai's face darkened, already forming a plan. Get to them first, talk on the way. As they walked, Su Bi filled in the blanks. The pills, the loyalty crystal, the escape. Meng Huai already knew some of it, including the political strings tangled behind their disappearance. Smart move, going to the embassy, he admitted. But Zhao Xiaoyu's condition? That was serious. He mentioned calling in teacher Ye. If she failed, they'd send her back to the academy with old Lei. But at that final suggestion, Su Bei's calm cracked. He stepped forward without hesitation, voice firm. She can't go back alone. I'll go with her. Meng Huai caught on instantly, smacking his student's head with a grin so eager to run. Not on his watch. They arrived at the host's house, where his usual mischief turned into mock serious charm. He introduced himself as the teacher, thanking them and offering to settle all expenses. His presence radiating a mature allure that left the host blushing and wondering if this was a beauty contest disguised as an academy. Just as she fumbled for words, her brother cut in, cold and practical. List the costs, get paid, and be done. Meng Huai agreed smoothly. Right then, Si Zhaohua burst out, lit up like a lantern at the sight of his teacher. All enthusiasm. Was there a mission? A reason? Meng Huai shot Subi a half smile before turning to see Zhao Hua with a weighty, "There are things you'll need to help with, emphasis squarely on you." Subi let out a long sigh, clearly trapped by fate again. With no escape, he gave in. "All right, take me to see Zhao Xiaoyu." Things turned serious fast. In her room, Zhao Xiaoyu looked peaceful, her complexion normal like she'd simply fallen asleep. But Meng Huai, ever the pro, checked her eyes and made a grim judgment. "I can't handle this." Back home, find little Meng Huai raised an eyebrow. Curious, but Su Bei's retelling of the kidnapping was too neat, suspiciously so. Yet Si Zhaohua kept quiet, unwilling to embarrass himself or Su Bei, knowing it would only feed gossip. Su Bei smirked, perfectly aware that Zhaohua would rather swallow lava than reveal anything shameful. Meng Huai, sensing their silent alliance, huffed in mock frustration, calling them uncute little brats. He'd switched from elite S-class to chaotic F-class, hoping for normalcy. But reality had other plans. Glaring at the pair, he stormed ahead with Zhao Xiaoyu, forcing the boys to jog after him. The distance between them more than just physical. Zhao Hua, still curious, finally asked the forbidden question: what was Meng Huai's ability? Even after all this time, neither he nor Su Bei had ever seen it. Meng Huai didn't bother answering directly, just smirked and tossed back, "Guess right, and I'll tell you." But Si Zhaohua wasn't playing games like most Xiaotian would. He narrowed his eyes and haggled for a hint. Meng Huai relented with a shrug. "I'm roughly half a summoner." That caught both Su Bei and Si Zhaohua off guard. With his build, they'd pegged him as a bruiser, not someone calling up tigers or bears. And half a summoner? What, did he summon just the claws? Their stunned silence made Meng Huai chuckle as he turned to Zhao Hua, teasing, "Actually, my ability's kinda like yours." Zhao Hua almost choked. Like his? Unless Meng Huai was summoning celestial beings, that sounded ridiculous. But while Zhao Hua drowned in disbelief, Su Bei's sharp mind clicked. He'd studied Zhao Hua's Angel, a rare professional tier ability. If Meng Huai's power mirrored that, then he wasn't half anything. He was fully dangerous. He had no clue what exactly happened, but if the direction felt right, he'd investigate once back home. After catching a cab to a luxury hotel, Meng Huai led them straight to a suite, where Ye Lin, relaxing on the bed, jumped up in surprise. She blinked at Zhao Xiaoyu, her concern immediate. "What's wrong with her?" Let me see. Using her life spring ability, which scanned both body and mind, Ye Lin examined Zhao Xiaoyu carefully, then blinked again, puzzled. "You're sure she's unconscious?" Her condition's better than before, more active even. Then she turned serious. "What exactly happened after you were taken?" Su Bei relayed the whole ordeal. When Ye Lin heard about the shattered loyalty crystal and the black mist entering Zhao Xiaoyu's body, her expression darkened. "That mist. It doesn't belong to this world," she murmured, rising from the bed. "It's not just corruption, it's intelligent, parasitic. But if she's showing signs of improvement, it means she's resisting it, or something inside her is." If those politicians took the pill and went home, their comrades would be doomed in 6 months. What a trap. Since ability users were too tricky to manipulate, the scheme targeted ordinary politicians instead. But then came the real mystery. If the loyalty crystal was already doing the brainwashing, what was the black mist for? As Ye Lin speculated aloud, the others froze. Maybe the mist wasn't harmful to the crystal or its chosen vessel. Their minds clicked. The ones who exploded from contact couldn't bear the crystal's energy, but Zhao Xiaoyu could. When the crystal shattered, the mist didn't just vanish, it entered her, and she wasn't harmed. In fact, her body looked perfectly fine. That's why Subi's pointer spun so wildly, it was a twist of fate in her favor. Meng Huai made the call. Send her to the academy. Tell no one, and if word got out, he'd personally expel the snitch. Lei Zan teleported Zhao Xiaoyu away, while Ye Lin updated Su Bi and Si Zhaohua about what happened after the kidnapping. And as night fell, why target us so far away? Meng Huai scoffed because Black Flash demanded it, and apparently they wanted lab rats too. Fine, let them try. Once the evidence is nailed down, they'll pay dearly. Yi Lin nodded, explaining the faction's underground operations and Jiang Tianming likely being stuck there, urging the group to locate those secret bases. She reassured them with a smile. Their part wasn't dangerous, just background checks to spot any kidnappers among the crowd. A task so safe. Subi finally exhaled until Meng Huai casually added they might need to infiltrate the place to rescue Jiang Tianming. Subi blinked, stunned, while Si Zhaohua lit up with heroic fervor. We'll definitely save them. Which made Subi mentally short-circuit. What do you mean, we? Who gave you permission to volunteer me? He cursed Zhao Xiaoyu's coma. If she were awake, she'd have shut this whole thing down. Alone, cornered, Subi turned to Ye Lin with a last thread of hope. Didn't you say it's not dangerous? But Ye Lin could only say, why target them so far away? Meng Huai just scoffed Black Flash's orders, plus a little human experimentation on the side. But it didn't matter. Once they got the proof, someone was going to pay. Ye Lin nodded, sharp-eyed and calm underground ops, and Jiang Tianming was probably trapped right in one. They needed to track the locations, fast. Then, as the tension thickened, she flashed a smile. No need to worry. Their tasks weren't dangerous. Just ID the kidnappers from a list. Help triangulate the hideouts. Easy work. Su Bi breathed out until Meng Huai casually mentioned the possibility of infiltrating the place where Jiang Tianming was held to bust him out. Su Bi? But Si Zhaohua had already clenched his fist, eyes blazing with justice. We'll definitely save them. Subi? Bro, feel free to chase your hero arc, but don't rope him into it with that we. If Zhao Xiaoyu weren't in a coma, she'd have shut this nonsense down. Now alone, Subi glanced at Ye Lin, desperate. Didn't you say it wasn't dangerous? Subi, frustrated by the unexpected turn of events, finds himself caught in the tangled web of fate, where a low probability occurrence becomes almost certain. He's not thrilled by this, even though the others, especially Meng Huai, are prepared to move forward. Their plan seems simple. Infiltrate and rescue Jiang Tianming, whom Su Bi, despite their past conflicts, has his own reasons to want to save. But just as they begin their mission, reality strikes. The impossible happens, and Jiang Tianming is found trapped in a mysterious, different space, tightly controlled by a powerful consortium. Subi's worst fears come to life, and now, with no way around it, they must step in to face the challenge head on. Only laborers get in, no outsiders allowed. Public different spaces are fair game, but private ones? Without a key? Good luck. Su Bi frowned, concerned if Jiang Tianming was trapped, how could they escape? 3 or 4 stuck already was bad enough. Adding more bodies would just thicken the mess. Meng Huai scoffed at the doubt, who said escape would be a problem. Find Jiang Tianming, and they'd storm the place. Once their students were found, even Apagod couldn't block the reckoning. Su Bi paused, realization dawning he had underestimated Meng Huai. Breaching a private different space was hard, not impossible, especially with overwhelming power. They were being sent ahead to confirm Jiang's location because charging in blind would backfire. Yi Lin stepped in, sharp-eyed and calm. If you're not up for it, Others can go. Her gaze locked on Subi, clearly sensing his hesitation. Subi didn't reject the idea. He just pointed at himself and Sai Zhaohua with disbelief. I'm not full of myself, but do we? In a tense moment, Si Zhaohua found himself questioning his plan, feeling the weight of his decision. His usual confidence, born from a lifetime of being praised for his appearance and refinement, clashed with the reality of the mission ahead. As the heir to the Sai family, he never felt insecure, but the situation had him reconsidering. Subi, ever the observer, pointed out the flaw in their plan, causing Meng Huai and Ye Lin to pause, realizing they had overlooked the fact that their appearances would draw suspicion. However, the ever-resourceful Meng Huai quickly suggested a solution: transformation masks to disguise themselves. Ye Lin, eager to move forward, asked for a decision. Without hesitation, Si Zhaohua agreed, though he noticed Subei's reluctance. Despite his own certainty, Si Zhaohua didn't push Subei, respecting his choice. As Subi considered the offer, he checked the destiny compass, discovering something unexpected. Si Zhaohua's pointer was heavily to the left, indicating that the upcoming mission could hold significant consequences for him. The reward might be his alone or not. Subi shifts in an instant, righteousness activated. Shirk my duty, saving them is my responsibility. The room goes silent. Everyone knows what just happened. Moments ago, he was ready to say no. Who did he think he was fooling? Meng Huai's eyes glint. What changed your mind? Subi's face is all innocence. Teacher, what do you mean? I've always wanted to save them. I couldn't let little Hua face danger alone. Si Zhaohua's expression sours little Hua? Since when? Meng Huai chuckles, not letting go. But earlier, you hesitated. Only because little Hua was too quick to agree. Subi replies smoothly. I needed to think it through. Still unconvinced, Meng Huai presses again. You didn't sound so sure. Subi opens his mouth, starting. That's because little Hua. But Si Zhao, compared to starvation, selling oneself was a better choice for most. Inside the rattling truck, tension clung to the air like the stench of oil and sweat. Some kids slumped with dead eyes, while others, like Yan Nan and Mu Kao, kept alert, watching every twitch around them. Musao wrinkled his nose and retreated behind Yan Nan, clearly regretting not the mission but the miserable cover conditions. How long could he keep pretending? Yan Nan noticed and, without a word, handed over a mint candy from his pocket. Always prepared, even candy served multiple purposes. Blood sugar, motion sickness, nerves. Then a timid voice broke the silence. A blue-haired boy, awkward in the foreign tongue, whispered in their shared language. Were you two sent by family? The academy had drilled cover stories into them to avoid that exact slip. Yan Nan shook his head, smooth as ever. Orphans. We saw an ad, we came. The boy faltered, unsure if he should feel worse for them or for himself. After all, he had parents who sent him here. After a long pause, he tried to smile. I'm Li Jie. In the midst of a terrifying situation, some of the captured students sat in silence, overwhelmed by the grim reality, while others, like Su Bei and Si Zhaohua, watched cautiously, unsure of what the future held. The truck they were confined in reeked of stale air, oil, and the stench of sweat and dirt from unwashed bodies. Si Zhaohua, struggling with the discomfort, hid behind Su Bi, feeling more uneasy by the minute. Though grateful for the rescue, he began to question whether this grim environment would expose their true identities. Observing his distress, Subi, ever prepared, discreetly pulled out a mint candy, a small but useful tool for managing hypoglycemia, hunger, and now, motion sickness. The sweet distraction did little to ease their tension when a boy with blue hair from their group approached them, asking softly in their native language whether they had been sent by their families. Subi, sticking to their fabricated story, replied with a casual shrug, claiming they were orphans who had signed up after seeing an ad. The boy, unsure whether to pity them or himself, shared his name as Li Jie, revealing his own troubled past with parents who had sent him here. The situation, thick with suspicion and unspoken emotions, left the air heavy as they all silently wondered what would come. Subi, using his old alias, Yan Nan, known only to Si Zhaohua and Zhao Xiaoyu, carefully avoided attention from potential threats. Before Zhaohua could even process it, Subi dropped another surprise. He dubbed him Mu Cao, a cheeky reversal of names, flipping dawn to dusk, flower to grass. It was Subi's idea, and Meng Huai had signed off with a chuckle, leaving Zhao Hua no room to argue. Now drained and defeated, Zhao Hua gave Subi a look that screamed, "Really?" before shutting his eyes in surrender. In this tense atmosphere, Li Jie tried to lift the mood, reminding them they were all from the same place and should stick together. Subi didn't bite at first, but that last line about helping each other sparked curiosity. He played up the fear and asked if the mine was actually dangerous. Zhao Hua joined in with dry sarcasm, mute or not. As long as they worked, they'd survive. Right? Li Jie froze, realizing he might have said too much. Eyes darting, voice hushed, but no one caught it. Too loud, too chaotic. Trying to play it cool, he backpedaled. Seeing this, Subi echoed Zhao Hua with an almost mocking optimism. Little grass, Li Jie's face burned with frustration. He wasn't making it up. But see Zhao Hua just glared like he'd smelled a bad joke, and Subi, ever the sharp-tongued one, turned his fire on Li Jie. Why scare us for no reason? Li Jie practically exploded. He'd gotten this intel from family, paid and everything. You think it's just mining. That place isn't a quarry. It's a different space crawling with beasts. Subi mocked him. So we're not mining, we're just dirt eating? That did it. Li Jie snapped, painting a grim picture. Nightmare terrain, lions, tigers, and worse, and some poor souls fed to them. The room fell into tense silence. Subi and Zhao Hua locked eyes. As much as they hated to admit it, the wild claims rang too true. The mining, his transformation mask, forged by manga consciousness itself, was flawless. None could see through it. So no one recognized him. There were only two reasons someone would tail him. Either they had another agenda beyond the Scorpion Braid Woman, or they were just testing him, and since only one person followed, it meant they didn't see him as a threat. Calm and unbothered, Subi kept walking, even stopping to window shop at a gold store. In Apogod, where gold was cheap and plentiful, the temptation was real even if his pockets were empty. Unlike others who would have cracked under pressure, he stayed composed. Zhao Zhao Yu? Jiang Tianming? Wu Mingbai? They would have lost it by now. Leaving the shop, the tracker had vanished finally. Relief. Back at Alyssa's house, Zhao Xiaoyu was still unconscious. Si Zhaohua was fine, knowing the truth. But Alyssa, Subi narrowed his eyes. Li Jie's info about the beasts made sense if they were nightmare beasts, but something didn't add up. A private, different space should have sealed its closure point ages ago. Schools kept them open for practice, sure. But this place was loaded with mental crystals. No reason to risk a nightmare beast ambush. Why leave it open? With perfect theatrical fear, Subi gasped. Seriously? That's horrifying. When do they eat? I don't want to die. Li Jie soaked it in, not because he was cruel, but because Subi's shift from skeptic to scared validated him. So he spilled more. The recruiter promised safety if they behaved. But that was all he'd share. And Subi lost interest instantly, brushing him off with vague ambitions to get rid of him. Turning to Si Zhaohua, he whispered, "Thoughts?" After a moment, Si Zhaohua mused. They are testing nightmare beasts under controlled conditions, Si Zhaohua mused, trying to see how far they can push containment protocols. But something went wrong. Either the seal's decaying or someone wants it open. The tunnel looked ordinary to the untrained eye, but he knew better. It was the entrance to a different space, hidden from normal vision. Amused by the sight, he didn't hide it well, and Mu Cao, ever watchful, noticed instantly, coughing lightly and tugging Yan Nan's sleeve to keep things low-key. At the tunnel mouth, inspectors combed through each laborer's ID, matching faces, asking sharp questions. But thanks to the Academy's flawless forgeries, Yan Nan and Mu Cao passed without a hitch. Inside, the world changed crimson sky, crimson sand, and frail workers, shoving carts full of pale red crystals. Not just any crystals, raw, impure mental crystals, used to enhance psychic abilities. but volatile in their unrefined state. The group responded with scattered murmurs, too weak to mask their unease. Something about this place felt wrong, and the man's ominous pause said more than words could. Reading the mood, the man didn't bother with anger, only followed cold routine. Any questions? This is your only chance. A hand rose, hesitant yet bold. If we're sick or have an accident, can we take leave? The voice asked, tension cracking through. If you're sick, your dorm mate can request leave. A doctor will come. Anything else? No. Encouraged, another asked. Can we write home? When can we leave? The man's mouth twisted. Letters. Once a month. Inspected. Leaving? Make a big mistake, and you can leave. Watching closely, Yan Nan Su, Be in disguise, caught the real meaning. The girl, unaware of the trap beneath his harmless request, cheerfully complied and left. Meanwhile, Su B played along. Collecting intel with sharp ears, he discovered that all newcomers bunked together and worked the same mine, with fresh batches arriving every 15 days. No overlap, no rivalry. That detail clicked. 15 days ago, Jiang Tianming and the others had vanished right after the auction incident. They had to be part of the last group, disguised as laborers. The next move? Track that worksite and link up. Subi and Si Xiaohua exchanged one of their loaded glances, silent agreement and chaos. No one raised a fuss about the shared dorms. Comfort wasn't a luxury. The kids knew the drill. Then came the man in charge, Head Zhang, giving them 5 minutes to pick beds and stash gear. In this cutthroat bunk world, edge beds meant survival. Su Bi and Si Xiaohua blitzed to the wall, spots safe, cornered, controllable. Su Bi let Si Xiaohua have the better edge, taking the next one over. Li Jie, always the tag-along, flopped down beside them with a grin, praising their swift claim. With no time to waste, the trio followed Head Zhang, weaving past 3 hills under the flickering glow of miner hats. The disguised students entered the cave walls lined with raw red crystals, ground littered with tools and carts. A voice sliced the silence. Work from 6 to noon, break an hour, then back at it till midnight. 7 hours of rest, barely enough to blink. But that wasn't the worst of it. A supervisor lurked, not for safety, but to stop theft and sabotage. Slackers, denied food. Repeat failures, consequences no one wanted spelled out. Head Zhang grabbed a pickaxe, cracked a crystal clean, and tossed it in a cart. Hole's fine, broken's fine, but dust? That's trash. Trash means no pay. 1 cart per person, no cheating. No excuses. The moment he uttered his final warning, the last guy who tried, you won't see him again, the group instinctively recoiled. Some caught the unspoken threat. Others naively assumed the person had just been fired. But being fired here wasn't just about losing a job, it meant losing shelter, food, possibly your life. That fear alone kept many in check. Su Bi and Si Xiaohua faked their reactions flawlessly. As Head Zhang departed, announcing dinner at 7, Si Xiaohua was tempted to use the time to search for Jiang Tianming's trail. Su Bi shut him down, calmly. No rash moves today. Puzzled, Si Xiaohua reminded him they only had 3 days. Su Bei's eyes flicked toward Li Jie, who was curiously poking at a loyalty crystal. Something felt wrong. Our teachers couldn't crack it, but that guy did? Just like that? Si Xiaohua repeated the cover story, Li Jie's so-called relative. Subi scoffed. And you think a rich recruiter from Apagod would spill intel for free? That's either blind trust or... Li Jie's story didn't add up, and Subi knew it. If Li Jie were truly close to the masterminds, why would they let him wander here alone and vulnerable? That made one thing clear. He was lying. Si Xiaohua hadn't seen through it at first, but now it clicked. Li Jie wasn't just suspicious, he was watching them. And if he was watching, they had to play dumb. Still, something else nagged at Si Xiaohua. If they were under suspicion, why send someone so obvious to test them? Subi shrugged it off, suggesting the enemy might just be targeting anyone from their homeland, treading lightly because they knew they'd crossed the line. Flashing a disarming smile, Subi turned to Li Jie with feigned warmth, suggesting rest. Li Jie nodded, eyes flickering, and made an excuse to use the toilet. Subi didn't push. Instead, he whispered his plan to Si Xiaohua. Tomorrow, he'd go first bait. If Li Jie followed, then Si Xiaohua could move undetected and search their quarters. That night's dinner? Si Xiaohua, refined to a fault, lagged behind not for lack of speed, but because of his deep fear of dirt. In a dorm where others devoured whatever was served, even reaching for yellowed buns was a test of will for him. Subei, already used to this, simply watched in quiet amusement. 3 days of shared suffering wouldn't kill him, maybe it'd teach the sheltered young master something. But nighttime brought chaos. Snoring, muttering, shifting a market of sleepless madness. Si Xiaohua lay wide-eyed, comforted only by the idea of chatting with Subei, who had already drifted off like a pro. Speechless, Si Xiaohua endured the long night. At dawn, the bell rang. Subi sat up with minimal effort, 5 a.m. Just another remnant of school life and brutal training. Si Xiaohua followed, but when he turned, his bloodshot eyes betrayed everything. Subi blinked, startled without the transformation mask. The poor guy would have looked like a disaster. Didn't sleep? Subi guessed instantly. Si Xiaohua gave a dry smile and shook his head, weary but composed as he washed up and delicately ate his breakfast bun until Subi jabbed with a smirk, warning him to quit the young master act. The barb landed hard, and though still graceful, Si Xiaohua practically inhaled the rest of the bun. Just then, Li Jie bounded over, all eager energy about mining day, and asked if they'd done it before none of them had. He mentioned scavenging as a side hustle, but Subi's eyes narrowed. It smelled too convenient, too neat. A trap? Maybe. If Li Jie wanted them gone, staying put was safer. Later, as tools were handed out, Subi whispered. Plan cancelled. Si Xiaohua blinked, then read between the lines. Li Jie's words had triggered a rethink. He nodded, sharp as ever. All right, 3 days left. And hesitation isn't an option. With Li Jie's looming threat, today's a no-go for action, but tomorrow might open the door. Subi, calm and sly, grins at the obvious. With Jiang Tianming's knack for chaos, quiet mining is a joke. Li Jie's mention of workers fed to nightmare beasts gives Subi a chilling clue. Si Xiaohua catches on fast, snorts, then recalibrates. Someone needs to stay out as a link. Both vanishing would blow their cover. Subi agrees, but here's the twist. Only the one who dives in gets the real prize. When Subi checks his destiny compass, it's still no shift. Regret creeps in, maybe he guessed wrong. But the moment Si Xiaohua says you or me, Subi sees the needle twitch. That's it. The real trigger is the decision itself. Knowing this, Subi steps back. It's Si Xiaohua's call and reward. Si Xiaohua didn't even pause. He volunteered, determined to take the risk himself. Subei, unfazed as always, just nodded and set the time. Noon. As the day dragged on, he mined like the rest, but it was all an act. For a normal person, this job would break backs, especially with the rule about keeping crystals intact, but for ability users like him, it was just controlled dirt digging. School techniques made the hardest part pretending to struggle. Every quota had to look hard won, every motion measured, because overperformance would draw the wrong eyes. And Li Jie's eyes? They were already watching. But Subi stayed steady, unbothered. When lunch came, silence still hung between them and their watcher, granting a rare window. Tearing into a bun with a frown, Zhao Hua laid it out. Get punished, skip work, sneak in. It was the safest way, but it had to be fast. No time for slow burn failures. Subi, always a step ahead, reminded him. The excuse had to be solid, or Li Jie would see right through it. Zhao Hua sighed, bun halfway to forgotten. Sickness was too obvious, too temporary. The real trick? Subi tilted his head with that trademark calm mischief and said he had an idea, though it might wrong Si Zhaohua a bit. Si Zhaohua's eyes gleamed. Anything was better than nothing. Later that afternoon, the two of them were mining, but this time they stayed close to the crowd instead of sneaking off. Their conversation was hushed, yet designed to be overheard. Subi whispered in a frustrated tone about some hidden money, scolding Si Zhaohua for bringing it. Right on cue, nearby ears perked up. Playing along perfectly, Si Zhaohua acted regretful, saying he thought he'd have a chance to spend it, but now it just felt risky to carry. Subi, full of hidden intent, suggested sending it out in a letter, but warned him to keep it safe until then. Si Zhaohua insisted no one could steal it unless he got punished and had to leave it in the dorm. Subi gave a serious nod, reminding him that if he worked hard and wasn't late, just like it wasn't a long bathroom trip, but it was long enough for Subi to connect the dots. Their whispered mining conversation about money, the suspicious trio who arrived later, and the quiet theft that followed. Li Jie, remorseful, clapped his shoulder with a lesson learned the hard way: never flaunt your wealth. Subi, silent and cold-eyed, brushed him off. Once alone, he retrieved the hidden camera near the toilet and reviewed the footage. Bingo. The supervisor, dragging two boys behind a boulder, vanished into a hidden cave and emerged alone. Subi's lips curled with satisfaction. Past midnight, a deafening boom rocked the camp. Sleepers bolted upright in confusion, but Subi was already in motion, pretending to panic, pretending to care, pretending not to know that Meng Huai had just stormed in. Li Jie mumbled groggily, "Don't!" Li Jie snapped, halting him with that rare threat of camaraderie. He won't make it back now. Going will only drag you down. Subi hesitated, rubbing his head, tangled in worry. What do I do? Where is he? Do you know the punishment? Should I ask for leave? His scrambled muttering betrayed genuine panic over Musao. Li Jie, who first thought this was another reckless dive into the different space, blinked at the sincerity. Calm down, he said softly. We'll search after the shift, but don't file leave. It has to be medical, and that needs a check. If he's not sick, you'll both take the fall. The look in Li Jie's eyes said more than words. Punishment wasn't light. Subi fell silent, dazed. Then the supervisor barged in, clipboard ready, scanning faces. Where's Musao? Silence. Just silence. Subi flinched, lips parting, but Li Jie's grip came fast, ironclad, dragging him back into line. No answer came. And with that, the supervisor sneered and ordered Subi back to work before disappearing from the cave, followed soon after by the vanishing of Si Zhaohua. The next day came with an ominous announcement. Si Zhaohua had been fired for tardiness. Subi knew exactly what that meant. Nightmare beast fodder, but faked relief like a good little worker. Later that night, in the toilet of all places, he spotted a red leaf at their secret mark point. Si Zhaohua was alive. That tiny sign let Subi relax a bit too much. By the third day, reality kicked in. He followed the new mark to trace Zhaohua's location, just in case they couldn't escape and he had to lead Meng Huai. Another leaf. No message. No clue. Just a red leaf in a desert of red sand. But there were no trees here. Nothing above ground. So where did the leaf come from? Subi paced, scanned the dunes, and finally crouched. Digging near the toilet was pointless. People came and went nonstop. What Subi needed wasn't a random pit, but the real entrance. So, out came a hidden camera from his storage ring, neatly strapped to a tree with a perfect angle on the toilet area. With that set, he slipped away to the mine. Waiting around for someone else's blunder would take forever. He needed to stir the pot himself, drag a mistake out of someone, and get the supervisor to reveal the entrance to the punishment site. Just as lunch break wound down, the supervisor arrived early, right on cue. Subi rubbed his eyes red, marched up, and dropped a line. Someone framed his dorm mate. The supervisor perked up. He knew exactly who'd been caught and also knew the kid was innocent. But rules were rules. Still, someone stepping up? Unexpected. Sue! He jabbed a finger at 3 others who'd entered last, voice rising. How could Little Grass get punished for nothing? They were the ones who blocked him! The supervisor smiled without commitment. Talks cheap, evidence speaks. Sue B met his stare without blinking. I have evidence. With a gleam of regret, he admitted it was their own talk of money that got them overheard and led to betrayal. But Sue B had already seen through it. Sharp and swift, he suggested checking their belongings. Just as he'd expected, money marked with grass was hidden in pockets and under pillows. The supervisor's eyes lit with approval. Finally, solid proof. And when the culprits tried to run, a single swing of his iron hammer crushed one where he stood. The rest froze, stunned. This wasn't just punishment, it was spectacle. Everyone watching fell silent, trembling. The supervisor thundered a warning. Break rules. Face consequences. Dragging the last 2 away, he left behind only echoes. Ligier rushed in, demanding answers, but Sue, Bia's eyes red, voice soft, just whispered, all night. I wondered why Little Grass Subi hadn't been gone long when the pieces started clicking. While pretending to sleep, he recalled a moment at the mine warning someone not to flaunt their money, only for strangers nearby to overhear. Those last 3 guys had been suspicious, so he'd reported them. Ligier put the clues together and gave a regretful pat on Subi's shoulder, muttering something about not flashing wealth before walking off, leaving Subi brooding in silence. After the night shift, Subi returned to the toilet, grabbed the hidden camera, paused the recording, and reviewed the footage. Bingo, the supervisor dragging 2 boys behind the toilet, shifting a rock, and slipping into a hidden cave, only to emerge alone 5 minutes later. Subi's lips curled ever so slightly. Past midnight, a blast jolted the entire camp awake. Chaos, panic, questions flying. What happened? But Subi already knew. Meng Huai had arrived. With perfect panic in his voice and fake confusion on his face, he dashed out like everyone else, calling out about an explosion. Li Ji groaned in bed, unimpressed, but Subi was already gone. Subi followed the echo of destruction to find Meng Huai standing alone, tight black shirt, muscles like drawn wires, surrounded, yet untouched. With each step he took, enemies stumbled back, fear in their eyes. At Subi's quiet call, Meng Huai turned sharply, recognized him, then stomped so hard the ground caved in every enemy trapped in one brutal move. No flashy ability, just terrifying raw strength and precision that Subi couldn't dream of matching. As Meng Huai approached, he asked, "Just you?" Subi reported Si Xiaohua's mission and handed over the crucial footage. Watching it in the dim light of a toilet stall, Meng Huai arched a brow, impressed. Well hidden. How'd you find it? Subi explained their setup while Meng Huai casually shoved aside a boulder like opening a door. Curious, Subi asked, "Teacher, is your ability based on strength?" He drifted into speculation. Abilities could be anything tied to a profession, and Meng Huai's power seemed to echo Si Xiaohua's type. Professional, summoning, powerful, those fit. But there had to be more, and Subi couldn't quite pinpoint them. Meng Huai, catching on, just smirked and told them to keep guessing. Suddenly, the boulders shifted, revealing a dark cavern. As they prepared to descend, a blast thundered from below. Meng Huai tensed, ready to act. Subi followed, calmly judging it as Mo Xiaotian's work, his air ability packed explosive force into pressurized cubes, something Subi recognized from past encounters. With that, he activated Destiny Gear, cranking his fate pointer all the way left maximum luck. Maybe this descent would uncover treasures missed above. Down they went, emerging into a blood-red forest, every leaf and branch scarlet. Sprinting toward the blast site, black mist figures suddenly fled in their direction. Subi's eyes narrowed. That was the same mist embedded in Zhao Xiaoyu. Su shouted and dodged just in time as Meng Huai reacted with a sharp flick, conjuring a massive mental crystal that sucked in all the surrounding mist. These crystals were standard for the wealthy and powerful, and Meng Huai wasn't one to waste time. He knew from the others that the black mist could be sealed, at least temporarily. Jiang Tianming's group burst from the forest, thrilled to survive. but barely had time to speak before Meng Huai raised the now pitch-black crystal and warned them it wouldn't hold long. He ordered a search of the room where the mist had appeared, because problems like these had a nasty habit of returning if not crushed entirely. At a secluded villa, the group split up. Sue be searched upstairs, brushing through the master bedroom without much hope until he tripped on a shoe, hit a cabinet, and a hidden panel popped open like a scene from a manga trap. Inside was an ornate box, and when he opened it, his breath caught. A pink, heart-shaped fruit gleamed inside exactly like the mythical item from the auction that could awaken abilities in ordinary people. Sue be nearly cursed. All he wanted was a small advantage, and fate tossed him a treasure worth billions. Subi didn't waste time. His short bathroom trip was part of a bigger plan. While half asleep, he remembered warning someone to guard their cash during a mining shift, right as shady newcomers passed by. Suspicious, he reported them. Ligia connected the dots and gave a shoulder pat apology, blaming it on flaunting wealth. But Subi stayed silent, eyes dull. After work, he retrieved the hidden camera and reviewed the footage bingo. The supervisor dragged two boys behind the toilet, pushed aside a boulder, and vanished into a secret cave, re-emerging alone. Subi's lips curled, target confirmed. Then, boom! A midnight explosion jolted the camp awake. Feigning alarm, Subi dashed out with a fake shout, leaving only Ligier's sleepy mutter and the wind. Mo Xiaotian grinned like a clueless kid, tossing out a cheery, "I'll be careful next time!" But Sue caught the slip, the veiled hint behind that grin. Saying more would blow his cover, so he let silence carry the weight. Lan Subing tried to ease the tension, noting the black mist had been contained and maybe, just maybe, they'd learn how it was made back home. Jiang Tianming's memory snapped back to the captured nightmare beasts, prime suspects for the mist's origin. As they neared the exit of the different space, even the ever-composed Sai Zhaohua blinked in disbelief at the twisted black hole left behind, as if reality itself had been clawed open. 3 foreign guards blocked their path, and a man in a black top hat demanded answers, cloaked in diplomatic outrage. Meng Huai, unamused, fired back kidnapping students wasn't exactly friendly behavior. The man hesitated, spotted the students behind Meng Huai, and blurted out a shaky excuse. "Laborers! Volunteers! Just a mistake!" But his face said it all. He truly had no... He wouldn't have let them walk in if he'd known the storm they'd bring. Even if they were academy students, he'd never let such threats live too dangerous. Meng Huai, cool and firm, challenged him to check their IDs if he doubted it. The truth hit hard. These weren't liars. The black top hat felt scammed. He thought he was righteous, but that illusion shattered the moment he saw the students. Kidnapping, even unintentional, justified a rescue, and now the tables had turned. Those kids had probably caused a mess below, yet they made it out alive. Forcing a smile, he called it a misunderstanding, blaming them for not identifying themselves. But Meng Huai shot that down. Who would dare reveal their identity in a death trap like this? Deep down, Black Top Hat knew if he'd known sooner, maybe he'd have let them go. He wouldn't risk his secrets leaking, but he couldn't say that, so he just chuckled dryly. "You're joking, right?" But Meng Huai wasn't laughing. His cold voice cut through. "Who's joking? We're leaving. Any objections?" When the man in the black top hat suggested checking for damages, Meng Huai's voice, heavy with mental energy, pinned him in place like a wrecking ball to the lungs. Black Top Hat dropped the idea instantly, nodding like a broken puppet. "Of course, leave any time." Meng Huai strode out, tossing over his shoulder. "The academy will handle follow-ups." Outside, just as he prepared to strategize, he was ambushed not by enemies, but by sparkling student eyes. One kid jumped up like a fanboy on sugar, yelling, "Teacher, you're so cool! I'll wear tight black shirts too. Can I be like that when I grow up?" He had no idea what kind of disaster he was letting in. If he'd known they were academy students, he would have never let them leave alive. Ming Huai, cool and confident, threw down the challenge. Check it if you don't believe me. They had IDs, and the proof was solid. Black Top Hat felt the sting. He wasn't being lied to, just completely outplayed. He thought he was righteous, but the second he saw those students, that illusion shattered. Whether he meant to or not, kidnapping students justified the chaos they unleashed, and chaos it was. These brats wrecked the place and still walked out breathing. Trying to save face, he forced a smile and called it a misunderstanding, blaming their silence. But Meng Huai wasn't having it. Identify themselves in a place like this? That's suicide. And Black Top Hat knew it. If he'd known earlier, maybe he'd have let them go. But now, after all that time, after the blackout, he dashed out with sharp resolve, figuring accomplices were nearby and the stolen goods close behind. Wu Mingbai and Lan Subing followed fast, the trio sinking like pros. While Black Flash's main force stayed inside, the three slipped into the outer ring and found the suspicious truck. It looked like any other, except for the way the driver stared. That was enough. The trio snuck on board. Watching all this, Su shook his head in disbelief. Bold protagonists, always choosing the action route unlike him, who'd have tattled to the teachers without blinking. But wait, where was Mo Xiaotian? Su caught the timeline. Mo Xiaotian had returned with them. He should have been on the truck too. So why did only 3 show up? The manga didn't stop to explain. It jumped to Jiang Tianming's group, trapped in the different space, barely escaping detection while eavesdropping. The drivers casually mentioned Apagod. Without its money and leverage, Black Flash wouldn't touch those brutes. More shockingly, they discussed their research as a major breakthrough, dropping the line that hit like thunder. Is the mother body safe in that different space? That name mother body lit up something in Subi's mind. He'd heard it before, from the scorpion braid woman, calling the crystal ball in the secret room the mother body of the pills. That meant the massive crystal ball in the different space might be the source of all the others. Subi chuckled, of course it was. No wonder he let that ominous black mist slip. The crystal was Black Flash's crown jewel, and losing it shattered their scheme, snatched into a warped realm. The trio ditched their disguises and melted among laborers, bypassing harsh checks at the gate only to blend in deeper. Inside, they stormed the supervisor's quarters and slipped their names onto the official list like it was child's play. Even the quiet one, Lan Subing, had the fire of rebellion burning bright. With identities in hand, the hunt for the mother body began. The plot? A little too neat. It wasn't a mine, it was a facade. Fired workers didn't go home, they vanished. Then the stage spun to see Zhao Hua, waking in the back of a truck, fully aware his status as an ability user couldn't stay hidden. He fought fiercely, but without power, just enough to make them underestimate him. Tied up, mocked, but left alive. Even weak abilities were assets to Black Flash. As the scene drifted to the reception room, Zhao Xiaoyu's entrance stunned readers, who expected to shield sighed Zhao Hua. Zhao Xiaoyu faked a classic Stockholm Syndrome reaction, her blushing, flustered face at odds with her chibi avatar's disgusted scowl, much to the reader's amusement. Then came Su Bi, finally catching a glimpse of his child disguise in the manga panels, his first mirror since the abduction. His actions, paired with Zhao Xiaoyu's wary thoughts, made his mysterious identity a hot topic. Was he a teacher's son, a political heir, maybe even linked to Black Flash? The theories flew, but his easy rapport with the others eased doubts he didn't seem dangerous. Suspicion really kicked in when Uncle Lou casually remarked, "You 3 seem really close," setting off an explosion of audience commentary. Why does he feel off? Uncle just unlocked a memory. Is that charm or coincidence? Could he be someone from their past? Subi's self-absorbed flair and the food testing moment spun. The focus, did he trust Zhao Xiaoyu's judgment or already know the... Just as Subi suspected, the politician's desperate escape plans reeked of failure to Zhao Xiaoyu and Si Zhao. In the end, surrender became the only option. Using sleight of hand and storage rings, they faked swallowing pills, tricking the scorpion braid woman and saving Subi. Then came the big reveal, the loyalty crystal. Its terrifying power stunned readers and left Su cold. If Black Flash had used it to control politicians, A 6-month spread could have destabilized an entire nation. Though their mission stopped this plot, the unsettling question lingered. Had Black Flash already succeeded elsewhere? Who else had fallen under their sway? The thought alone was chilling. As the group processed the danger, only Zhao Xiaoyu showed potential to handle the crystal, but with lethal risk prompting tense silence before new plans formed. Amid the gloom, Su Bi and Si Zhaohua's late-night banter brought laughter and wild guesses about Yan Nan. Readers flooded comments. Ha 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 ha! Si Zhahua, eating dirt is my joy. Whisper. His identity's fishy, why not reveal it? Yan Nan feels familiar. This kid hits my XP. Whisper. What's his ideology? One user typed, only to delete it mid-sentence. He wasn't lazy, he just had his own playbook. Sure, slacking off came naturally, but his mind never stopped scheming. The peak came when Zhao Xiaoyu faced the loyalty crystal, knowing full well that survival meant risking everything. No shortcuts, no miracles, just pain. Yet the manga didn't reduce her to a sob story. It painted her fear and fight in stark strokes. Some barrages went wild, calling her selfish, mocking hesitation like bravery was a default setting. But logic means nothing when death's breathing down your neck, especially if you're 15. Others got it. They saw her not as a cold trope hero, but real, raw, relatable. And then bam! Cut to Su Bi pulling off his reveal like a magician yanking off a mask, leaving Si Zhaohua and Zhao Xiaoyu gaping. Flashback time. Clean, crisp panels of past moves, silent, sharp. Then came the explosion. The loyalty crystal's data was out, and the barrages lost their minds. That kid's the GOAT! 8? I was chewing crayons at 8! This chart makes me feel illiterate. No cap, Su Bi, aka Yan Nan. He wasn't slacking, just playing his own long game. But the real twist came when Zhao Xiaoyu realized there was no way out except through the loyalty crystal and no guarantees. Her choice? Gamble her life. The manga nailed her turmoil with raw, expressive art that made her fear tangible without ever turning her into a whiner. Sure, some barrages blasted her for hesitating. Act or die! They yelled, but most readers got it. Not everyone's a logic bot, especially not a 15-year-old shoved into a kill or be killed arena. Her panic felt real, even relatable, more than those typical stoic heroes. Then came the hard pivot. Su Bi calmly revealed his hidden data, dropping jaws. Si Zhaohua and Zhao Xiaoyu froze, triggering a flashback. The scene showed just enough of Su Bi's earlier moves, clean, efficient, unshowy. And then, boom. Barrages went wild over the loyalty crystal's experiment log. That kid's cracked! 8? No way! Recruit him. Su Bi, still undercover after destroying the crystal. They escaped midair, laughter echoing like victory bells. Su Bi's kitty scribble speed version drawing out roars of laughter as the manga poked fun at him slacking during the scorpion braid woman's attack, while others were drawn in grand desperate combat. His chibi form squatted like a gleeful onlooker, adorable, yet totally asking for a punch. But when Zhao Xiaoyu fell, his depiction morphed, swift, heroic, his true form casting a sharp shadow that screamed, cool! Likely the author indulging in shonen flair, despite them not being the main cast. And in that skyward moment, 3 figures. Zhao Xiaoyu, guarded by image-obsessed Si Zhaohua, and Su Bi, the enigmatic prankster, laughed recklessly. Armor hero, transform, and this is youth. Breaking the fourth wall with zero shame. Someone even declared, they're my protagonist group now. Su Bi's rare, radiant laugh surprised everyone, too youthful for someone so calculating, and yet somehow perfect. The team's vibe? Pure shonen gold. That chaotic post-crisis group laugh hit all the right notes. Young heroes, bruised but unbroken. Meanwhile, Uncle Lou's political crew slipped away amidst the mess Subei's squad had stirred up. Veterans of such schemes, they used their knowledge of the facility to reach the docks, where they overpowered a couple of unsuspecting guards and commandeered a ship with barely a ripple. Back with Subei's group, the reunion with manhwa was quickly skimmed over. Their chapter ended with Zhao Xiaoyu sent home, while Su Bi and Si Zhaohua prepared to enter the nightmare-riddled different space to rescue Jiang Tianming. Then the spotlight snapped back to Jiang himself. After a long, exhausting arc, Su Bi took a breather, sipping water and casually asking the ever-present manga consciousness, "You still here?" It replied, "Yes, what's up?" Su Bi, half smirking, questioned the original storyline where only Si Zhaohua and Zhao Xiaoyu meant to be kidnapped. Without his unplanned entrance, the split would have seemed lopsided. Jiang's protagonist team on one end, and a thinly the manga consciousness, with a rare serious tone, drops a bombshell there was never an original plot. Only Jiang Tianming and Mo Xiaotian were planned, meaning the rest, including Su Bi, weren't in the script. Su Bi freezes no original plot. Seeing his confusion, the consciousness clarifies. He's now a plot character. That hits hard. Su Bi had always kept some distance, using the manga's chaos to boost his own goals. But this time, he's been fully pulled in with no ability gain. He's no longer a side player watching from the shadows. He's been officially written into the core cast. It's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, he no longer needs to chase relevance. The story will carry him forward. On the other, he's trapped deeper, losing the freedom to stay detached. No more sitting back and analyzing. Fewer chances to hover behind the action. His expression tightens, but he keeps reading. Meanwhile, Jiang